Hello, and welcome to COMP3218's Game Design's Let's Play, where we're reviewing games that were produced for our first coursework. I'm Adrian Chapman, a lecturer on the course, and with me today is...
Ioan Marinov, one of the demonstrators on the course.
Excellent. For this coursework, the students were asked to produce a game that has a clear core dynamic, levels, and a tutorial as part of the game that teaches the users how to play the game. Are we ready for our first game?
Yep, I think we're ready. So let's start.
All right, and here we are with our first game, The Sheep Escape.
Okay, so there's the keys here. I'll start pressing them. Okay. And it doesn't tell me a lot, so I'm just going to move, and I see that the white blob is moving, and I assume... I don't think there's anything that told me that I should... Ah, okay. So you saw how the white circle, which I assume the sheep, once it touched the gate.
Yep. So square is you, white blobs are sheep.
And this
Wait,
is
are you the yellow?
Yeah, I'm both the yellow and the...
okay, I see. This is the arrows. I see. Okay, so you've got a big dog, a little dog, or maybe that's a person and a dog, and you've got some sheep. Okay.
Okay. 3 stars.
Okay.
Oh, there's the red one. So
we don't want them to touch the red. I see.
Yeah, that's...
What happens if they do touch the red?
Let's see. It makes a noise, a barking noise.
Oh, and they all disappear. You failed! Yeah. Well, at least you get to replay this.
Oh, yeah. It's... Okay, so...
Alright, and your gate is much smaller this time.
Oh, yeah, I just noticed. It's okay, though, for the first few levels, quite...
Alright.
The difficulty starts...
Oh, no, there's a road. Well, this is an awful field. So... I will say, despite just having little blobs, this is an engaging, like, I could totally believe that's some sheep and a shepherd and a dog.
Yeah, and it feels, I guess, kind of like how it would feel to herd sheep. Okay. Oh, now it's 2 roads. Oh wow, this is very... Should I try to do them one by one, probably? I'll just do those 2. Should I try to get killed by a car? I mean, I probably am going to die if I touch the car.
Yeah, did you get hit by a car? Yeah. Does the shepherd die?
Yeah.
Oh, you failed. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And I suppose if you only get 2 sheep over to the gate, you don't pass with flying colors.
Yeah. Should we try that?
Yeah. Let's just get these 3 sheep going. They're on a good.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. It's...
Does the dog move faster than the human? I can't quite tell the way with you pushing the buttons.
A bit faster, yeah. So I guess it kind of makes sense in real life. It would be the same.
Yep. What does the music sound like? I can't quite hear it from my...
yeah, the music is really the perfect music for this. It's... Oh, no. Oh, okay.
Oh no, the sheep got killed!
Anyway, the music is like a country, or like the perfect music for this. I don't know how to explain it. Okay, it's hard.
These sheep are really unhappy with what you're doing. Oh no, this sheep's gonna get it right here. Oh no, sheep made it. Made it.
And there's like a constant sheep ba sound.
Right.
It's really fun.
So interestingly, you got 1 sheep over, and you haven't failed. You've just now you can just get sheep by sheep.
Yeah. So...
Okay. So while you're navigating these sheep, I'm going to start working us through the marking criteria. So
Yep.
there's a few pieces that are different criteria levels. So the first we're going to be talking about is quality. Within this, there's presentation and meaningful play. So let's talk about presentation really quickly. Um, Presentation includes audio, graphics, and information design. So what we're looking here, and what I'm hearing is that the audio in this case is complementary and appealing effects and music. So there's both background noises and the bing bongs
Yeah,
when you
so
do things.
so if I yeah, as I said, if I get killed, I guess I can hear like there's a noise for that, and if the ship gets in the red or hit by a car, there's also a noise. So yeah, it sounds
Excellent. And then in the same manner, now we've got what's the video the video and graphics look like. So in this case, it's interesting because they are definitely consistent, and strangely effective for just having some sheep and some dots and some circles and a rectangle.
yeah, exactly.
Um, they are. I'm not quite sure. I mean, I find them perfectly adequate, but I'm not going to take them up to appealing. I think they're good.
Yeah, and
Then let's talk about the key information. So this definitely seems to be a spatial reasoning game. We can see the level that we're on. We can see the sheep. There's no timer. And at the in-between levels, we're seeing a star, which I think is basically the information that we need to. Oh, you just lost a sheep to the road. Oh my goodness, you're losing a lot of sheep here. Um, so I think as far as information design goes, you are not you. This particular game has what is needed. I'm
yeah,
I'm
so
curious. I mean, you've lost a lot of sheep here, but you're not dead yet. If this is going to be where we get to 2 stars
oh no, no,
versus
no, no, no. Uh,
yeah, you died.
well, previously I hit one ship or two and I got
You
two
went down
stars.
a
Yeah,
star. Okay, so that is your feedback, and so I think it's basically all information is shown.
yeah,
Um,
and
I think
I like how the levels are kind of connected. They're, flowing one through one and each other. It's really nice.
And the question becomes is it that the levels are shown or the levels are I'm sorry, the key information is shown or the key information is shown clearly. And I think that is shown clearly. I think it's very simple information, but I think that's on its way up to excellent. So let's
Yeah.
talk now about meaningful play. So meaningful play has mechanics, controls, and bugs within it. So easy one. Let's talk about bugs. Um,
Well, for now, right now I don't feel like there are any uh, bugs that I can, we haven't encountered anything game breaking or even any bug.
Yeah, I agree. So I think that it's reasonably complex game and there are no obvious bugs.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So now we're going to be looking at usable controls. So you've how's driving the sheepdog?
It's interesting because it's exactly the way that the ship don't just go against you. They behave very strangely, like real ship, I guess. So and the controls themselves are uh, very like they're responsive,
Okay,
and they feel good for the game.
right.
And yeah,
So basically we're at a set of smooth and usable controls, and I wonder if we are at intuitive, smooth, usable controls.
hmm, yeah, I'm also wondering that I guess it depends how intuitive. I mean, okay, it might be just a bit harder to control two things at the same time with the mouse and the keyboard. But
Yep. So I think they've done a very good job in this.
yeah, definitely.
And if this were to be set up as a two-player game, possibly it would be, absolutely wonderful.
Oh yeah, that
And
actually would
indeed, it could
be.
be played as a two-player
To be honest, actually, it sounds like if it's a two-player game, but it might be even more fun because you have to coordinate with the other player and
with the other person.
yeah,
Yep. So let's talk about the mechanics that we're seeing in this game. So there is a sheepdog who can move at a certain rate. There is a shepherd who can move at a certain rate. What are the mechanics that we're seeing here? And proximity to the sheep from one or the other
yeah,
can change their trajectories. I think there's also an acceleration. So if you look at the sheepdog and you run from one side of the field to the other, you towards the sheep, they will react a little differently.
yeah. It's very subtle, but yeah, it does make it, I guess, believable.
So yeah, so there's also a gate that you have to get through. There's
A red gate.
bad zones, exactly, bad zones. And then there's these moving cars and roads that what poorly designed fields, really, that you have to navigate across. I think that I feel like we definitely have a set of complementary mechanics here. And the question becomes, I actually think we're edging towards a wide set of complementary mechanics.
Hmm.
I think that I think I'm not quite all the way up to wide in that I would love to see one more,
Ah, yeah, something
set
like.
of examples. Mud that makes you move slower,
Oh yeah,
or,
yeah,
yeah, or the dog gets tired and you need to feed him a treat to keep him going.
yeah. Exactly.
Something
That
like
would
that would
be.
kind of get to a wide complementary mechanics. But I think they're definitely edging there, um, in their current sets. So we're going to move on now to fulfilling the brief. And in this, the brief was very much around level design and a tutorial. So within level, ooh, you've got like a barrier there to get around.
Yeah. So I did finish the game. I was just replaying the last level, so I'll just start from the beginning again, so we can
Absolutely.
look at the tutorial.
Yes.
So actually, the tutorial is pretty like they throw you in deep water immediately, almost immediately. Just the ship, the controls, and you know have to do everything else yourself and see how it works, which is
Yep.
fine because they only have a single gate. They don't have anything that kills the ship. You kind of automatically look at this and think, oh, I probably have to go to the top. Uh,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
and then here, the mouse itself, you can immediately see that the dog follows you, follows the mouse. I mean,
Yeah.
so and again, there's nothing that kills you, so they, leave you to just play with the controls here, and
And eventually you'll get them to the white gate.
yeah, yeah,
Yep. I actually think that it is a very simple tutorial, but I love that they kind of rotate the screen around and then there's this
yeah,
red gate. They've done it all. And in this case, I love that the red gate is way bigger than the little white gate. Even though in later plays it's much smaller. So yeah. Um, I think that the tutorials themselves very simple, but very effectively designed. Um, and I love, yeah, the placement of this red gate so that it is quite likely you're going to bump a sheep or two up against it and you lose a sheep. And so now we've learned that
yeah.
you don't get all your stars if you start losing sheep. um, so I think as far as the tutorial goes, um, we've got a gradual explanation of gameplay and controls that's fully aligned with play in this case. Um,
Yeah, I
And in fact, I actually think that we're even further than that, that it's a gradual explanation of gameplay and controls, fully aligned with play, and communicated through level design.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, that's effectively what they have done here.
yeah, the level design at the first few levels pushes you to
Um,
play it like that. Yeah.
yeah. So let's talk about let's talk about the levels themselves right now, and that's the two things we're looking around for now is goals, risks, and rewards, and pacing. And so I think we're easily at clear and coherent set of goals, risks, rewards. Our goal is to get the sheep through the white gate. The risk and the reward is, well,
Yeah, do I
the
risk?
reward is stars, and the risk is all these things that are going around and losing sheep.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think one of the subtle problems, and I think it's one of the pieces where I'm not going to take it all the way up into excellent into balanced is around that risk problem.
Mm.
Actually, I take that back. So there's the risk because the game isn't over until you get all remaining sheep through the gate. You can make a decision. So, for example, in this level, this is a perfect example where you can choose to try to either get all of the sheep, cross the road, and then get them all through the gate together, or you can go sheep by sheep by sheep. Um, and that is a risk. Now, I wonder, what is there a reward that's tied to that? So you've taken more time with this,
Mm.
and yeah, your reward is you might actually get more stars, but what is the incentive for doing this?
Yeah.
Like, what's the challenge? So I struggle. I think I am going to say this. Like I struggle that I'm not sure that's all the way up to excellent, because yes, there's a clear kind of goal and risk, but I'm not entirely sure that the rewards are commensurate with those risk choices. So right now, you have full stars if you have all your sheep. You have 0 stars if you or the dog get hit by a car, and you have some number of stars depending on how many sheep make it through the gate. But there's no rewarding of, hey, you got all the sheep through in one go, or
Um,
you got all the sheep through in a certain amount of time. And I know this is a spatial reasoning game, not a time game, so I understand why they made these choices. And I think I would not say include time, um, but I do think, whoa, see right there, actually the sheep just got killed, and did you have anything to do with that?
yeah.
I love these sheep. Um, so yeah, so I think they've done a very good job at this, but I think that they could have some improvement to bring it up to an excellent. The question now is around pacing. I actually think that there is a tension that rises over time in a coherent and well-balanced pattern. I think they've nailed that pacing. Like, each of your fields is getting worse and
Yeah, yeah.
worse, and more sheep, and the problems are getting harder and harder.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's move on now to a core dynamic. So what would you say, having played this game, that the core dynamic is?
Herding sheep.
Alright.
Well, the core dynamic, I would say, yeah,
I think collection
page,
possibly, or
yeah,
spatial reasoning. And there's a
collection.
question:
Ah, yeah,
spatial reasoning or
collection.
collection?
It feels more like the collection boosts the spatial. So the spatial reasoning would be the main one, and the
Yeah,
secondary would be collection because it kind of helps the. Uh, oh, yeah, it helps the spatial reasoning.
I agree completely with that one. And I think a few things point towards that. I think actually the movement of the sheep and the fact that the sheep respond to the dog and the human and the shepherd
They
are
kind of
kind of the key
respond a
pieces.
bit differently, I think. Maybe that's just me, but it feels like it's a bit different how they respond with a dog or with a human next to
Yeah,
them.
no, and that's just it. I think that they've done a really good job, that there's like this spatial reasoning that's not so much about collection, because you have to think so hard about how they respond to the dog, how they respond to you or the shepherd. Um, so yeah, I actually think, and they have said in their game notes that they intended this to be a spatial reasoning game, and I think that they have actually nailed it. So yeah, so when we look back, what we are looking at here would be a clear core dynamic that is supported by the primary mechanics. And the question then becomes, is this a clear core dynamic that is supported by an integrated set of mechanics? And I actually think that it is, based on the difference of movement between and the sheep's reaction to the dog and the shepherd.
Yeah, yeah.
We're going to move on to feedback now. And for that, we need to go take a look at what feedback they were given and how they addressed it. The initial concept was for the player to herd sheep from one field to the next, the player on and on. They told us they were treading into the territory of having multiple core dynamics. And in fact, they still are, especially with spatial reasoning and collection, because the player would have to consider the spatial elements of the game as well as the number of sheep they've been able to rescue. So from the feedback, they realized that they needed to solve this multiple core dynamic problem, and they decided to design the levels to be fields that surround a main field area. So the sheep in each level are different from the previous level, which steers away from the perception of accumulating and collecting sheep over time.
Ah.
They also abandoned implementing a sheep rescued counter, which I think was brilliant because that would have tipped us all the way over into collection. So the user focuses less on the number of sheep they've rescued. To further enforce the core dynamic of spatial reasoning, they modified the win condition for every level to be a minimum requirement of rescuing one sheep out of the whole herd instead of some arbitrary number for each level. Very nicely done. Yeah, no, I think in this case they heard the feedback, and I think they've articulated it very well, and that the changes were successful.
Yeah, sounds, yeah.
So yeah, in fact, I think that is the feedback was excellent in terms of what they've provided and done. So thank you so much. I actually really enjoyed this game, and I love that this is an example of, this is not a flashy, there's not a huge GUI, but everything here was really well done. From the music all the way down to really thinking through the core dynamic and the tutorials. Yeah, well done.
Yeah, I agree. Really fun game also.
Yeah, yeah. All right, shall we move on to our next game?
Yeah.
All right, and on to our next game, which is Undead Mayhem. Just a note, the executable was not turned in, but we are doing our best and running it out of Unity.
Yeah. So the music is there's some music, and it's spooky music, with Halloween themed. I'll say play, I guess.
Yep.
Because yeah, let's see. So we are starting with, we have used the WASD keys to move the player in the corner. I see some health. I see a timer behind this, but for now. Okay,
right.
so I started moving. The text went black. So left click to shoot. Okay.
What was the gray bar underneath your 50% health bar?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
It doesn't
Killing undead grants you health. Stay near tombstones to spawn more undead.
Okay.
Ooh. Oh. So basically, you want to kill them because it gives you health. Get your health to 100% to win, and going near a tombstone spawns them. Okay. Will they? So have you used up the undead in that tombstone?
Why is it? Oh, I'm scared. It's doing something. I don't know what, but okay, let's. Oh, okay. Okay. Level cleared, zombie killed, zombies, time remaining. Oh, there was time. No hit bonus. Power bonus. Final
Okay.
score. Okay.
So we're being rewarded for number killed, how much time you have left, not being hit by them,
And I
and some
guess,
sort of power up, but we haven't seen a power up yet.
yeah, that's the
Okay.
next level. Right click to place tombstones. These will spawn extra undead to kill. Ah, okay.
So you get to put a tombstone in. Don't you? Doesn't somebody like kind of need to be buried to put a tombstone in? So
Press.
what
Oh,
happens
oh,
in your
oh,
phase?
oh, oh, oh. I
Oh,
press E when mana bar is full for a power boost. Okay. So I have the time remaining here. Wait, did the tombstone just vanish? I
yeah,
think it
looks
was
that
here.
way.
Okay, so
Go find another tombstone.
oh oh okay this
What's that door?
I'm not actually sure if
Hmm.
oh I gets damaged by this. Oh
You get damaged by it.
no, I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay, so
Hmm.
oh there's one. Or is that not a okay? That's not a spawnable one. Okay, so let me spawn one myself. Oh, 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 okay, so I have the mana full. Let's try uh, and spawn a few zombies and see. Oh,
Whoa, hello.
oh, I'm invincible. It says in the corner
Oh yes, I see it now. Invincible. Oh, but now you're not invincible. Okay.
anymore, yeah.
It's really hard for you to get some power ups here. Like you've killed a lot of zombies, and you're only at 52%, having started at 50%.
Oh yeah, actually. Oh, there's
Okay.
music now. Uh, I guess because I used the power up maybe. But there
Mm.
wasn't any music previously. 50, 60. Yeah, it's actually. Oh,
Okay. Well, if you figure out that door, I'm curious. Oh, there's a zombie behind you. I'm going to start walking us through the marking criteria for what we've seen so far.
yeah.
All right, so going back to quality, we can start with information design, graphics, and audio. So there's some music being played at the intro and after this most recent power up. What about the little beeps, boops, bops of hits, strikes,
Y-
firing?
yeah, so there's a laser sound when I fire a laser. The oh now I okay, so this is a different kind of power up. I have more damage, I guess.
Okay.
So when I kill the zombies, they make noise. When they get hurt, they make a different noise.
Okay.
Uh,
They've actually done
oh,
really well in terms of like the auto, it's complementary and would you say appealing or is it just complementary?
I do wonder. The music itself is fits really nicely. The sound effects might be a bit too jarring. At least the laser sound is a bit jarring because it's so sudden and a bit louder than everything else.
Sure.
Uh,
So I think they've done very good in this particular one. All right. And what about for when we start talking about like graphics here? So I think one of the things that I'm struck with is this person that you are is I don't know that he fits particularly well into the
yeah,
into the scene, as it were. That yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think that the graphics themselves are consistent and effective.
for the most part, yeah.
And now we're going to talk about information design. So in this case, we have a health bar that's very clear. We have your mana bar, which we now know what that is. The mana bar is there. We have time remaining up in the left, although it's kind of tiny.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I'm not entirely sure if it's just because we are playing it in Unity and not an executable, but many of the words that tell you what to do kind of come up on top of that time remaining.
Oh yeah.
So I think that the information is displayed that you need to be playing the game. Oh, and I guess in the cutscenes or in the between scenes, we can see how they are generating the points. So what's important, which was killing zombies, not using up all your time, using power-ups and not getting hit. Oh, and here we've got a power-up, so damage, and it's up there. It's a little small, but it's up there. So in this case, I think that the key information, all key information is shown. I'm not willing to go up too clearly because I do think there's some problems with text size and overlaps. But
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
it's all there. Yeah. So let's talk now about meaningful play. So bugs controls mechanics. I think bugs in this case, I think so far it looks very clean. I haven't seen anything. So the game is reasonably complex and there are no obvious bugs.
Yes, I think so. Let me think. Yeah, I don't think I found any bugs.
Yep. So then the next one would be around controls. How do your controls feel? Are they smooth and usable? Are they intuitive and smooth and usable?
So they are definitely usable. You know, it feels moving keys feels pretty normal, just like a normal, top-down game. The shooting itself, again, yeah, it immediately you press the button and it immediately shoots a laser, so that feels nice. So responsive, definitely. What else?
Are they intuitive?
Yeah, I would say because it's, the mouse, although in this case using the mouse doesn't add that much because for example, if I was using the mouse, I would expect for me to be able to, uh, let's say, shoot
Click and
up,
run.
yeah, or click and shoot towards the
Yeah.
direction of the mouse. But now I'm just shooting towards where I'm looking at.
Yep.
So in that case, I would just use the keyboard or something like a spacebar or.
Yeah, I think that's where it starts breaking down a little bit for me. So I'm actually going to say that it's smooth and usable controls. And I think it was the introduction of that mouse and the expectation that we would have about you would look where the mouse is tracking to right now, or you'd shoot where the mouse is tracking to, is where it misses the intuitive mark. So looking on then, let's go back and think about the mechanics that we're seeing in this game. So let's see. We've got movement. We've got you actually can choose to spawn zombies, right?
Yeah.
You can shoot things. What else?
Yes. The
You can.
power-ups.
You've got your two power-ups at least. One is defense, and one is. Sorry, you can do power boost when the mana's up, and you can spawn more zombies with a different. Or is
So
that also with mana?
the yeah, so the mana, if I yeah, it's random, I think. So I either
Okay.
get damage. Oh,
Yep.
speed now. Okay, that's a new one.
Right.
So yeah, as we see, it's speed, damage,
Yep.
invincibility, in which it also spawns a lot of zombies around you, and that's for now what we have seen.
Right. Okay, so basically then there is this I actually am tempted to call this almost just one mechanic, that there's this mana and it gives you some sort of a boost. I'm even though there are multiple different power-ups, we don't have a choice. It's random.
Yeah.
So I think those are the mechanics we've seen in this game. That's about right, isn't it?
Sounds, yeah, there's this portal that lights up when I stay on it, but it doesn't do
Nothing
anything.
happens, does it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so we have a set of complementary. I think in this case we have a set of complementary mechanics.
That's set, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that in some cases they miss the mark of a wide set because the power up that you're given is random. Like you don't have a choice. You can't use mana to get speed and then I don't know, choose to give up a little bit of your health to get invisibility or spawn a few more. There's no choice there, right? It's just here is a something.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think it's a complementary set of mechanics. Let's see, moving on now, we should talk about the brief itself. So there's the tutorial, and then there's the level design. And why don't we talk through level design right now? Have we figured out what this door is yet?
Which door? Or this here?
This blue door in front of us. What is that?
I don't know. It looks like it damages the enemies for a bit if they touch it the first time, but not the
Right.
Okay, you saw that one of the zombies when it touched
I just saw it there, yeah.
just vanished. Yeah, again.
Yep.
So it looks like it kills them, deals
Right.
damage, but I don't know. You know, they don't say.
They don't say it. Okay. So, let's talk about, so we're talking about let's talk about level design since we're not in the tutorial section right now. So in this case, we're looking at goals, risks, reward, and pacing. So,
Oh, that's a very interesting one.
yeah, I think on this game this is actually an actually kind of difficult one. So, what is the goal? The goal is to kill more things to get more health.
Yeah.
What is the risk?
Getting hit, I guess.
I guess if you're too greedy and you spawn too many things, you could get a hit.
Yeah.
And the reward is if you spawn more, you finish faster. But and I guess you're rewarded by how much time is left on the clock as interpretation of your points.
Yeah.
And how much control do you have over how many is spawned?
That's an interesting one because I mean, there's one power up that spawns a bunch of them, but you're invincible, so it kind of, I guess, balances out.
Yeah, yeah.
But the one of the thing is at the start when I was playing, you know, I go next to the grave and it spawns randomly, kind of randomly, when I get in a radius around it. And you know, it's so sudden without any sound cues
Yes.
that I was getting hit at the start of the game a few times because I wasn't
Yep. You weren't ready
expecting
for
it.
it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. So
So I think in this case that what I'm hearing here is very much we have a coherent set of goals, risks, and rewards, but they're somewhat muddled.
there's also the thing. So you have the lasers to kill the zombies, but you
Yeah.
can just spam them and not stop. You know, it doesn't cost you anything to just
To
click.
just keep killing and killing and killing and killing.
Yeah, so you can just keep on clicking and yeah, just like that.
Right. So it might even be that we're kind of down into like a limited set of goals, risks, rewards.
Yeah, because yeah, if for example, if there was a cost to actually shooting, because right now you can infinitely shoot forever
Yep.
and it doesn't cost you anything, so why not do it?
Sure,
Uh,
sure. Um, yeah, so I'm actually going to put us between a limited set of goals versus rewards. So we've identified some of the negatives. I do think that there's been this attempt to kind of
Yeah,
identifying what those rewards are with the way the points are added up between levels.
yeah, definitely.
So we'll go between those two. Let's talk about tension and tension over time. Um, so there's effectively one level in this. There's a tutorial level, and then I guess there's two levels. There's a tutorial level, and then there's this level. Is that correct?
Looks like it. So it's a tutorial, and then the second level starts with a small tutorial, and then that's it. But the
Yep.
second level is much longer, so
It goes longer. But this second level, I'm not sure that there's actually any tension that rises over time. Um, it's
mm,
not that there are more bad guys to kill. It's just I'm gonna get my health to go up and up and up.
y- yeah, and yeah, the only thing. Oh, yeah, the only thing that might be, up to the tension is when you first start using the power up. I
Right.
think from what we've seen from the 4 times I think that we've played it, every time I press E the first time and use the power up, the first time always it spawns more. It spawns more enemies at the same time. And I think that they've attempted to, once you finish the tutorial and have the mana full and you know what to do, and they, spawn more and at the same time. So, in that sense, is some kind of pacing.
Sure, sure. So I think what this is that there are variations in tension, but it's not coherent. There's no coherent pattern over time. It's basically dependent on when you push the mana buttons.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I can just not push them.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. All right. So now let's talk about the tutorial itself. So we had some gradual explanation of gameplay and controls. We were told to do WASD. We were told to shoot. We were allowed to practice by spawning our own single tombstone
Y-
zombie.
Yeah,
Um, so we weren't overwhelmed at that point. It was just a single, right? Um, and then, so that was really good. In fact, that's based on just that one tutorial, and that one level with the pieces that were in it. I would have said that we were clearly up and excellent. That it was an explanation of gameplay, and the controls were fully aligned with play, and actually probably good, because the problem is that there was no next tutorial. So there should have been another level in here where we get introduced to mana.
yeah,
And what is this door or this green thing? It looks like a door to me. We were never introduced to that door. What is
yeah,
that?
yeah, exactly.
So so I think that in this case, um, there was a gradual explanation of game and controls, somewhat aligned with play.
Oh, so I can also spawn. Oh, so the first thing is that in the tutorial, I guess you can die as well, which isn't a bad thing, but hmm. I mean, yeah, it lets you see zombies killed, all the bonuses that you use. And the second thing that I was saying is, for example, left click to shoot, and I'm probably not the only person who might right click because
Yeah,
they get confused by left and right. So I mistakenly click on the right key. It immediately
sure.
spawns a zombie and I die immediately.
Yep.
So maybe if they removed the ability to do that in the tutorial level,
Right, right.
but I
Yeah,
don't
I
know if
think
it's that big of a deal.
I think that in general, across the board, they need to give some better thought to how they're introducing concepts in the tutorials and staggering so that the player can learn clearly, and practice without
Yeah,
with lower risk,
yeah,
right?
sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about a core dynamic. What do you think is the core dynamic of this game as you've been playing it?
Feels like survival, in a sense because, or mm, it's kind of mixed maybe.
Yeah.
It feels like survival because I'm trying to not die, and
Yep.
there's a resource that I have to maximize, and there's also what else? Destruction as well because I'm
Yep.
killing, and getting awarded for killing them.
And you have unlimited shots, so you could just kill
Yeah, yeah,
everything. Yep.
exactly. And there's also time, which is like a time attack, so I have to be fast, race to the end, but not really. No. So yeah, it's at least two ones that come up to mind immediately: destruction and
Yeah.
survival.
Yep. And they wanted to do it as destruction. And I think you've actually put your finger on it that there's this tension because I read this game very much as a survival game. I'm trying to get my health just to get out of this graveyard. And I've got to survive these. Yes, I have to kill these zombies. But I'm so worried about my own health going down, or getting more health so I can get out of here, that it reads to me very much as survival.
Yeah.
Um, Now,
Mm,
how could we have fixed this? So if we take this game and we say, what's one thing we could do, or a couple things we could do to twist it away from survival, into destruction. So, um,
maybe if there's like rather than your health, make it kill 20 zombies
yeah,
because then at that point you're like, oh, I mean you can still have health, I think, but then the focus is not on I should try to not get hit and uh, save up on health and accumulate it. It's more like I have to kill the zombies.
yeah, yeah. I think that's a very easy change, right there. And I think then it very careful. It signals it takes it the focus less off of you and, oh my goodness, I've got to survive and keep my health up. Um, and I mean, because so much, I mean, that first time you played that level, it went on so long because your health just kept going down and up and down. Oh goodness, and here it goes. And it wasn't about the destruction. It was about just getting that health topped up so we could get out.
Yeah.
Um, so let's see. In this case, I think we are. So there's a clear core dynamic that is partially supported by the primary mechanics, in this case. So there are definitely elements of destruction here.
Yeah.
And I think that some of the information design, some of the mechanics they chose, um, just take it a little bit too close to survival, to be a very clear
Yeah.
core dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so finally, we're going to move on to feedback, and let's go take a look at what they said on feedback. Um, So the feedback was the environment for level layout should be varied enough that you can encourage and teach the player, and make sure the timer doesn't create a core player dynamic of race against the clock.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the level layouts were reduced to a small but varied environment that was aesthetically pleasing, and the placement of game objects was decided in a way that the player would be introduced to them one by one. So the first level, they learned how to shoot, and a zombie pops up, and this leads to the player to investigate the top area. It's funny because when a zombie pops up, I run away. I would investigate the lower area. So, and learn that zombies spawn from tombstones. Level 2 is designed so the player can learn that they can summon tombstones temporarily to increase the zombies. The mana bar is introduced and fills up for the player. The environment encourages the player to use the new skill to fill up the mana bar. The timer was adjusted to be sure there was enough for an average player to complete this level without feeling rushed. This was done through playtesting. Great job at playtesting! As well as power-ups were implemented to have a countdown timer, which appears next to the timer. So, I think that they definitely heard about the timer, and I think they very effectively did this. I'm so glad you playtested, and I think you're right. If the timer was any faster, this would totally feel like a race, as opposed to either survival or destruction.
Yeah.
I think that the environment for the level 8 should be varied enough that you encourage and teach the player. I think that could have been done a little bit better. So as we were discussing here, having a few more levels in here where, the first one teaches, you did a great one on the first tutorial. You needed like another mini level before you get to the main board that is about how mana works, or how multi-spawning works, or one of these things, right? Some set of these things. I mean, and this is awesome. Like, you're in a graveyard. You could have had like the little church graveyard, and then you could have had like a little crypt, and then you could have had the big graveyard that you ended up in. So I think, as far as this goes, I think the feedback was stated well, but at the same time, I think that half of it was successful, and about half of it was not necessarily successful. And so I think in this case, we're kind of, at a satisfactory.
Yeah. And is that... Oh, I think that's...
All right, so let's move on. I think this is our last game for this batch, and we'll move on to the next batch.
Yeah. So